if everyone can stay sitting down, we just have one more lightning talk, and it's Tiara Tragas. She's an agency operations expert. She is going to be telling you the story, first of all, of what she's actually done to her leg. She was signed off by her doctor very last minute to fly to Texas and do this talk, so really appreciate you giving her a great round of applause. She is going to be talking about scaling agency operations for growth. So.
Hello? Good, thanks. Okay, hi everyone. My name's Tiara, and today I'm gonna tell you guys, or some people think I'm yelling all the time. Promise I'm not yelling at you. I'm just passionate and Italian, so I can be a bit aggressive, hence why I have a torn ACL. So I just wanna kind of clear the air, because everyone's asking me about it. I was doing a Spartan race last Saturday. I climbed on a tall ladder, got on monkey bars, went 75% of the way through, so proud of that. I fell, completely tore my ACL. It's non-existent in the MRIs, so I'm getting surgery after this. So this is kind of my last hurrah. I'm really happy to be here. Rachel is everything to me, so I didn't want to miss this for the world. And don't feel sorry for me, don't have sympathy for me. I'm fine, I'm on great drugs. I have a great doctor. I'm doing good, I'm crushing it, so just move the fuck out of my way, okay? And we'll be good. So yeah, let's get started here. So yeah, that's me. I think I look kind of the same. I didn't drink last night, so I think I'm doing good. But yeah, so I worked and studied hospitality and accounting because I'm crazy, and I spent a lot of time, in school and out of school in hospitality, way too much time there, where I really learned that I couldn't say no. I had to find unique ways to say yes. And so life happened. I joined the e-commerce world, which I think most of us have a really unique story of how we joined, which I think is really cool. And so yeah, I kind of took that ability to not accept no or say no to kind of break through ceilings in my career, but also really help businesses grow in the ability to find creative ways to say yes and make shit happen. I really like to do action, not just talking. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I like to base everything I talk about today on, is really making decisions, not just looking at data. It's making decisions off of it, because it really has no value if you're just looking at things and you're not able to act on them and act on them in, a good time frame, right? That is relevant and important internally for your business and for your merchants and as you scale. So, let's get into it. So what is agency operations? I'm really impressed this year more than last year. I've either met with some of you guys where you have someone that is working in the operations role at your agency, or you're consulting with someone that does operations, or you have someone that maybe does it 2 days a week and they do project management the other days of the week. But it's a more increasingly, growing and important term for agencies. And what is it, right? It touches all different departments, and it's really the ability to take data. In my opinion, I use data to center this focus and to really help your departments talk to each other, right? What are the interdepartmental processes that need to happen as your clients engage, from the sales cycle to delivery to retainer, right? To the different departments or the different services that you work in, and creating kind of a seamless experience. And so oftentimes what I see is that agencies, when they don't have someone dedicated to owning this, what happens is each department head creates their own version of operations and processes, right? And in their mind, or the way that they're selling it to their team, is that their way is the right way. And oftentimes, it may work for them, but it doesn't work across the company, right? And so you can have a lot of friction between sales and delivery. See it all the time. You can have a lot of friction between delivery and accounting. We may never solve some of those things, but having operations in place really helps bind and be the glue to help those departments work across each other well. And I think the biggest area for opportunity is that when you have a lack of operations in your agency, your client is going to feel like they're working with a different company after they leave sales and they move into design, when they move into development, right? There's different key players that they're working with, but it's a really disjointed experience for them. And as you're moving upstream and you want to work with enterprise clients, you got to get your shit together, right? You got to look like one company, especially if you're remote and spread across the globe. It's going to be really important that you come across, right? But that it's functionally and core that you guys really do have your shit together, right? You can't just put on this facade. And as you offer different services, especially post-launch, right? If you're doing SEO or paid marketing, like those are completely different teams. So now you're introducing new people on your team to these clients, but they really need to have, you guys all need to encompass the same core values, right? And so really that's what operations is. And it sounds really far from data, but you can use data to really help bring all those things together, because the data is kind of what's gonna help break through all those barriers to tell all those heads of those different departments like, hey, this is what the numbers are showing us. These are areas that you need support in. How can we help? So, okay, so kind of the framework there, and maybe you guys have heard of the PPT framework, which is people, process, and technology. I like to do people, process, and systems, and really this is kind of the three pillars of data that I like to look at and to center operations around. At first is the people. It is who are we working with, right? Who's on our team, and what the fuck are they working on? What are they good at? What are they not good at? What do we have them, working on? What do they want to be working on, right? What are skills that they want to learn, right? All those are important, and as you can see, like that touches every department, including HR. So there's a lot that goes into that. So we need to understand who's on the bus and where are they sitting. And after that, we need to talk about the processes. And so it's like, what are they working on? But what do they need to be working on, right? What are we selling? What are our core offerings? What are we really good at? What are we bad at that we should like shave off? Or what do we want to spend time on to get good at but maybe not sell it yet? And so we kind of need to put pen to paper or open up some Google Docs here and say, okay, someone just booked a call with us on Calendly. Sales team, what happens next? And really talk with them. It's kind of therapeutic to say, if you had all the tools that you wanted and you had all of the team members that you wanted, how do you want this process to run? And you can take that activity and you can do it with every single department from sales to post-launch, right? To all the different kind of retained activities that you're doing after. Everything in between. Anything you're doing more than once, you should have a process for it. And especially if you're gonna work with enterprise clients, yes, you may need to bend that process, right, to work with them, but you should have like some bones, right, to your house. You should have a good structure to build off of and to grow off of, right? So that's really kind of the process part of that. And we'll dive into it a little bit more next year, but then we need to talk about our systems. So, what are our tools that we're using? What tools do we want to be using? Kind of maybe send out a survey to understand, like, what do you need to do your job well, right? And what is that going to cost us? I am a huge believer, if you come to one of my workshops, when it comes to operations tools, I've used so many of them, but I'm a big believer in like not spending money on that kind of stuff if you don't have to. Most agencies don't want to invest, in non kind of profitable or non-billable tools. You can do whatever you need to do in a Google Sheet. Big spreadsheets, gal. You can make them work smarter for you, but you need to make your systems smart. If you are doing something more than once, you should be able to automate it in some way. And especially as you're working, with those enterprise clients, everyone needs to be working in the same system and talking to one another, and you need to move out of Slack. You need to get important conversations out of threads if you're going to work with enterprise-style clients that are working with multiple different departments within your agency. So let's dive into that a little bit more. When I talk about people, I'm really talking about utilization management. It's a big term, and if you're not managing utilization today, we should talk after because it's really foundational. And so there's a few different things that are kind of the core to this, and one is the capacity management. And this kind of goes into like who's on the bus, and how many hours a week do they have available? Are they part-time? Are they full-time? Where are they located in the world? What kind of clients and time zones would be best suited for them, right? If you're sending out, they're on the across the side of the world from your client, you're gonna send out a booking link and they're never gonna be able to book a call, right? So getting that all down on paper and understanding who you have, when they're available, and what capacity are they working in that's step A, right? Once you have that in place, then you're looking at what are they working on, and that's allocation planning, right? And this is not just, and I feel really strongly about this, it's not just planning them for the billable work that they're going to be on, right? That part is easy. Like we can take the fixed bid project, divide it by the hours, and then spread it across the people that are working on it. But what are they working on that's not being accounted for? What's all the internal stuff that the CEO is asking them to work on? And sorry, CEOs and founders always feel attacked by my presentations. It's not personal, okay? Maybe a little bit, but it's all right. It's all right. But for everyone who's not a CEO, you're like, yes, stop slacking my technical architect that you want to work on AI. Like, we're too fucking busy right now. But it's like if you want to work on that, and that's a really important initiative, let's plan for it, right? And so planning for that internal work, planning for that non-billable time is just as important as planning for your billable time. I think, too, as you're working with enterprise-style clients, you can't just divide the fixed bid rate by the billable hours and plan your team against that. There is going to be non-billable time that you need to invest weekly, especially for those project managers, of course your account managers, that needs to be dedicated in order for the teams to talk to each other, which doesn't happen all the time, and to be able to like really critically think and plan for these clients appropriately. So it's not just going to be billable time, and you have to plan for that, right? So we can plan all we want, and that's cool, a big planner, but then what actually happened? And so doing utilization analysis every month is a great thing to do. It's actually essential. You know, if you want to do it weekly, that's cool too, but monthly is what I recommend. And so it's great to see what did we plan for and what actually happened here, right? If we had all this time planned for this billable work, but maybe it was non-billable, well, what happened here? You know, was there a blocker? And so talking about those things and making sure that your project manager and account manager are saying, hey, yeah, like there's some gaps here. There's a change order that needs to happen, or we didn't get this approved. Make sure you're talking about that monthly so that you can take action on those things before it's the end of the project and now you've accrued maybe this huge bucket of is it billable or non-billable time, and let's go back and try to talk to the client about it at the end, right? Which happens, I've seen agencies, you know, suffer with that a lot of times, like kind of waiting to the end to bring things to a client, and it's a little too late, right? So utilization analysis is so important. And then let's talk about our skill assessment. So if we get to the end of the month and we do an analysis, we're like, okay, Wendy worked her planned 40 hours on this project, but why didn't we hit this milestone? Why are the designs still delayed? Well, like, is it on the client, or like, did she need more time because she didn't know how to use the customizer? These are like really niche examples maybe, or that one, but these things happen, right? And so it's like, okay, well, do we need to spend time with Wendy on teaching her the customizer once she gets done with this project? Or maybe that's something we don't give her then in the future, right? So we can really make some HR decisions, coaching decisions, and really make resource decisions around what are people good at, what are they not good at, and what can we help them grow. And when the team is growing and they feel like, hey, we noticed this took longer than expected, let's help you with it, like, that's a win, right? And that's how you really help build your culture, and you don't just feel like we're talking about resources like they're non-human, but they really are at the end of the day. So that's about the people. Let's talk about the processes, and kind of want to hit on this. So, kind of going through that therapeutic exercise through the sales process. We touched on that a little bit, but also I kind of have highlighted here 2 areas that I think oftentimes get overlooked, but are really essential for agency growth and to really handle like larger enterprise style clients. And that's the project planning phase, and that is the transition phase. And so project planning is really that who's working on the project, deciding, all of those things, and And these two areas are where multiple departments need to work together and that they need to talk to one another. So having processes in place when there's more than one department is so critical so that people aren't feeling superior or that their way is the right way or they want to take things over, that these should be very structured no matter like what kind of client that you're working on, right? And so in that project planning, you're figuring out who's working on it. Let's go over these milestones, let's do a sales to delivery handoff. Like, let's make sure everyone has the information needed in order for the project to be successful. And then after that project, not to say delivery is not important, because it is maybe the most important there, right? But we're going to talk about that all day today. So I'm kind of hitting on the other elements, right? So that transition phase, again, we're passing things off now. We just launched. Now they're going to launch a, SEO bucket. Now they're going to do paid marketing now that we've launched. They're going to, we're going to switch the project teams, right, that are going to work with this client. So what is all that important information that we need to pass over? What is the recommended amount of hours that the account manager should be offering? Well, it shouldn't come from the account manager. It should come from the delivery team that just spent 3 months working on this, and they have the backlog prepared, right? And so working together to build those kind of roadmaps are really critical, and they are something that can be standardized and repeated over and over again through time. Of course, they're going to look different for every client. And then after that, it's maintenance. And so building those processes to retain your clients long term, that should be a kind of flywheel in itself. So let's talk about the technology or the systems. And so this is kind of more straight to the point, but kind of going to call some people out here. Let's say you have a salesperson that's working on HubSpot, and let's say you have, a Scrum Master, or you have someone in operations, or you have an admin assistant, right, who is the one onboarding people into these tools. Well, all those webinars that we get invites to for Monday or ClickUp or Harvest that we never go to, pick one person on your team to go to those webinars, to go to those 15-minute things on how to optimize ClickUp, how to optimize EverHour, all those tools. Like, you're paying for it, you might as well have one person on your team who's really fucking good at it. And your admin assistant, I'm sure they have time. So it's like, make them feel important, like, hey, they're a power user, they've got the verified check mark on this tool because they're really good at it, and it empowers them, right? And so having someone to learn the tool that you're paying for, it sounds obvious, but I don't think we do that enough. And then have them play in the tool. Have them duplicate a project board and start to optimize it. Let's play with some automations. Let's use Zapier to help HubSpot talk to our project management tool to do pipeline planning. Once a deal enters a certain stage, let's add a trigger that the head of delivery gets tapped in, and then we talk about it on a weekly pipeline call. There's all these kind of automated things that we can do in our project management tool, in our CRM tool, that we probably aren't doing because we're just so used to doing it manually that we kind of get stuck in that. And if you are a CEO, you don't have the time, right, to make it automated. So that's fine, but let someone else do it. Let someone else get in there, get into the data, get into the tool, and help make it smart. So once you've played with that a little bit, or someone on your team has, and they found a flow that works good, then standardize it. Open up a Google Doc and write a bullet point checklist on how this should work, so that every time a deal closes, these are all the steps that are going to happen in your project management tool, right? This is what's going to happen for the repository. These are how your developers are going to submit PR reviews. Like, all of that should be standardized and automated, right? For every single department that you have. And then after that, you need to train others. And so this is internally and with your merchants as well. So once you've got your standards down and how you want the tool to be used, it means absolutely nothing unless everyone else on your team knows how to do it too. So have a call, make your admin assistant host that call. It'll be great learning for them, right? To say, hey guys, this is how we're gonna enter in notes every week for this project. So we don't need to have a call anymore. Your team's gonna love that. But now everyone needs to go to this dashboard and add these notes every week, right? So we're gonna make these dashboards that we built real. They're gonna be live. They're gonna be living organisms, as Mr. Harris likes to call it. Like, they're gonna be like real-time updates, right? And they should be effective. Every week as utilization numbers close, let's go ahead and update the dashboard with that. And same way for your clients, especially ones that are large, enterprise, and working across different departments. Hey, client, this is how you're going to enter in requests. It's not going to be through our shared Slack channel. It's not going to be in an 80-thread email. It's going to be through, this intake form that you're going to submit on our project management tool. And then we're going to have a trigger on our side internally. We'll get back to you immediately if you're a retainer. We'll get back to you when we can if you're ad hoc, like something like that, right? But you have to train your clients as well on this is how we work. These are our processes, and let's set the expectations up front and kind of guide the sheep into the right direction so that you can scale efficiently and get out of Slack. Okay. So we talked about our PPT, our people, process, and systems. So let's talk a little bit about building a strong foundation and really setting metrics that you can hit. There's two kind of frameworks that I like to work together. They are objective key results and key performance indicators. I really like using both together, but once you understand your data and you understand your utilization, then you can set targets and your revenue like on where you want utilization to be for every department, for every role. Where do you want your revenue to be? Those are your key performance indicators, right? And you can track those every quarter. But then how are we going to get there, right? So we can set objectives. I like to do it quarterly, and I like to do it a parent one for a company, and I like to break it down by department. So for sales, we want to build a sales process. That's the objective for the quarter. The key results are what are the actual action items that we're going to take this quarter to get there. Okay, well, it's a team effort. Let's think about it. We want our designer to build a deck. We want an operations person to build the SOP. We want to optimize HubSpot. All of those steps are things that we can track and measure that they're happening. And we can actually reward our team members and make them feel like they're a part of the process, right? All different people, so that it's not just on your salesperson to build the sales process, right? It's going to take a lot of different people to help with that. So let's document it and let's track it. And maybe every bi-weekly we have a leadership call to say, okay, did these activities happen? No. Okay, let's book a call. Let's get the designer what they need. Like, let's share all these things. And so those are so important, and they can really be rewarding for the team and really set a nice culture. And then the KPIs are kind of like, okay, not one person should own those because then it's all on operations, and then when they don't get hit, you feel like it's all on you. But it is really a team effort. Like, based on these activities that we devoted and we spent time to, now that we have our sales process, did we increase revenue? Most likely the answer is yes, because now you look more like you have your shit together, right? So all of those things kind of bleed in together. Once you have them set, you want to be documenting things and failing fast. Like, be super open to working with the teams. They get into an argument on a call. You're not able to get anywhere. You take a breather. You digest. You come back together, right? And you say, okay, guys, I know it was a tough go. Let's try it again. Everyone's cooled off. What do we need to move forward here? And so making sure your teams are talking together, learning from the mistakes, learning from the headaches, it can really be therapeutic for your teams. And as you move kind of up market, it's super important that your team that's been with you for a long time, that they feel that as the company is changing, that they have some say, right, and how the business is evolving, and that they're not just like kind of stumping their feet and like, no, I'm doing it this way because I know it works for me. So if you bring them into the process and make them feel like their opinion matters, they're going to grow with you. And the ones that don't, if they don't make it, it's okay, right? That happens as an agency grows. And that's normal. And so, yeah, then we just want to make sure we're continuously improving. I know you can feel like you spend a lot of time building this pretty document, and then all of a sudden, like, everything changes, right? And so that's okay. Like, that's what's supposed to happen. It's a continuative process and cycle. It's never done. So, and let's talk about making it last. I think something that I just wanted to call out is, and I think it's a common theme for today, is when working with like these big enterprise style clients, you have to be flexible. You have to be willing to change. And most likely, the DocuSign template that someone on your team made for an MSA that they think is really good probably isn't going to work for the enterprise style client, right? So it's like, drop your ego. No one cares that you spent 3 hours on this template. Like, let's ask the enterprise style client, hey, why don't you send us your MSA and we'll take a look at it, right? And then make sure your lawyer, your local lawyer, isn't redlining the shit out of semicolons to send it back, because most likely that enterprise client is going to say, we don't have time for this, deal lost. I've seen it happen. I'm also close with someone who's on that enterprise side, and the reasons why deals get lost a lot of times is because they have a procurement team, they have a QA team, and people are pretentious about their processes, they're pretentious about their contracts, and really none of that needs to matter when you're working with these style clients. So let your ego down and just do what has to be done, and kind of let them lead in a way. Okay, I don't know how I am on time, but that is, okay, I'm doing good. But yeah, so I'm really passionate about this kind of stuff. I love to help agencies grow, and I really believe using data at its core can help with that. So if you guys need help either building an operations department, or you have one, but you need help with maybe some P&L modeling, people, processes, systems, optimizing tools, I'm here to help. Yeah, and so there's my QR code and information, and I'll be here all night. So thank you.